Football is back, and BetMGM is inviting new customers to join the huddle and enjoy the action like never before. Sign up today using bonus code CHAMPION, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. You'll also have instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, player props, and boosted odds specials. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to betmgm.com and enter bonus code CHAMPION to place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. The BetMGM app is the perfect way to experience the excitement of wagering on live sports now in more markets than ever. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Virginia only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Blue Wire.
First pick in the 1991 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Larry Johnson from University of
I'm not supposed to be here, man. A lot of people from where I'm from, don't make it.
Charlotte, we're back.
Welcome, Hornets fans. This is Richie, and we are live for another post-game buzz-in following the season opener against the San Antonio Spurs. This was a fun one to watch. The Hornets start the season off with a convincing win. Joining me on Twitter Spaces today is Spencer and Brian. Spencer, you're still recording from the bathroom.
But not from the toilet yet. We're not there yet. I thought, if we lose the Spurs on opening night, but hey, we're going to keep it status quo for now.
Very good. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm, as you guys, I'm sure are as well, just inundated with basketball. It's been a busy, very fun, but very busy opening night. Just a lot of stuff happening, including, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but at the half, Denver down 22 points to Utah. What's going on? What's going on there? Doesn't seem good, but no, it's wonderful to have the NBA back, and I'm thrilled to be talking with you boys.
Yeah, it's a long season, but we'll gladly take the 1-0 start. It just went final with the Hornets winning 129-102 on the road. We will gladly take any speaker request as well in the latter half of this pod, but we're going to try to get into this recap and get out of here in 25 to 30 minutes. We always say that, but it might go a little bit over. Coming into the game, LaMelo Ball had an ankle injury, so we knew that was going to be somewhat of some shifting going around. Oubre got the start. Rozier shifted over to the point guard position. And you thought Cody Martin would have had some more minutes as there were some guard minutes to be had, but he left with just 2 possessions into his stint here in game 1 with a quad soreness injury, which was unfortunate. But we saw a game which was entertaining to watch for the most part. A Hornets team that was in control of 99% of this game. Just like with any other basketball game, there's going to be runs. San Antonio made a run in the third quarter, but then the Hornets responded with a 13-0 run to end that third quarter. I think the biggest thing that I saw from a team point of view, outside of the effectiveness in the shooting efficiency, was just the fact that Charlotte did a great job of limiting the Spurs in fast break points, while also on the other end, putting some pressure on the offensive side, getting out in transition off of steals. Guys, I think we can probably start anywhere with this, but I do want to start with my main man, Gordon Hayward. Scored the first bucket of the season off of a mid-range shot, off of a curl. I remember last season they loved to use some of that high-low stuff with him, and out of the pistol or 21, whatever you want to call it, to get Hayward in the post. We saw more of that tonight. And it's just something, if you're paying attention to this team, it's a big part of Hayward's game. It's a big part of Hayward's appeal. He even had a really good possession with Rozier that led to a nice pass that split 2 defenders where he set a screen out of Spain, pick and roll, And Rozier, not known as a facilitator, makes this nice pass to Hayward for a layup. So it was good to see him back and healthy. Thought that was a nice showing from Hayward.
Yeah, I agree. He steadies the offense, as we've talked about so many times. You brought up the shooting efficiency tonight, Richie. Wasn't a super fast game, fast-paced game for Charlotte. They still got up 94 shots here, but Hayward just playing bully ball, and it was a great matchup for him, right? Like San Antonio really doesn't have – they have some good defenders on this team, some defenders with potential certainly down the line, but like anybody they tried on him, he was knocking backwards, either off the dribble drive or from the elbow almost immediately. So getting really whatever he wanted, and only taking 11 shots, which is – that's his mo, right? Like he's just going to steady the ship for this offense, and he's a really good fit for what Steve Clifford wants to do. So really good to see Hayward, get off to this start tonight. Only PJ Washington played more minutes than him tonight, and maybe Brian, I'm sure you have some thoughts on Hayward, but I would say let's talk about PJ next, because I think in the season preview we talked about how he would be used differently this year. And I think tonight was, albeit against a very subpar NBA basketball team, the way he was used tonight, the way he scored his points, like very
off the dribble,
some like in transition catch and shoot, but very, very different from what we've grown accustomed to with PJ Washington scoring. And I just thought he was awesome.
Yeah. And first off, we know all of this comes with the caveat of the Spurs aren't a real NBA team. They just very clearly are not. I like a lot of their young players, including some guys who didn't even run tonight, like Branham and Blake Wesley. But yeah, Hayward and PJ, those guys combined for 37 points on 22 field goal attempts. Not bad. Hayward, 7 of 7 from the line. So he got the line a few times. They really, as they have now for 3 seasons when Gordon's been healthy, if there's a smaller point guard out there, even if it's a good defender like Trey Jones, they're just going to have Gordon Hayward set a screen for whomever that smaller guard is defending. Tonight it was Rozier primarily, but this has also been Devontae Graham. This has been LaMelo Ball. And then they're going to try to get the switch. And so, Richie, you talked about Hayward getting some of those, those high-low post seals when they use the little 21 or pistol action. That's going after Trey Jones. They also at times just ran straight guard or, guard wing, pick and roll in the middle of the court to try to get that switch. And the layup that Hayward got cutting to the rim off of Spain or diving to the rim off of Spain was another time where he got the switch. I think either Vassell or Keldon Johnson went to Rozier. Trey Jones switched to him, but Hayward had inside leverage and just immediately dove to the rim. So really nice work there. In general, in that first play of the game, no surprise they went to him to get to Hayward in the mid-range. They've run this a couple of times in the preseason, but what's called Ram Veer action, where Plumlee sets a down screen for PJ. PJ looks like he's going to come up and set a ball screen for Rozier. Before he does that, he immediately slips out and dives to the corner to set a down screen for Hayward. Hayward curled off of that. Just really solid action in general. And then, as far as PJ goes, we'll go and slide right into it. 3 3-pointers tonight. 2 of those came off the dribble in transition. Another one was a catch and shoot 3, a little relocation 3 that he hit in the second half. And the 4th 3 that he took tonight was like a pick and roll kind of possession. So he took 3 of the 4 3-pointers he took tonight came off the dribble. 2 of those 3-pointers, I'm guessing they would be scored as unassisted. I would have to check the stats on that, but he kept the ball popping around. 4 assists, only 1 turnover, 2 blocks, including a monster rejection of Jeremy Sohan. Where he does this every now and then. Where I do think it's easy to forget that this dude has like a 7'3" wingspan, and you just see him go up and just put a shot up, off the top of the backboard like that. It was not the top of the backboard, but like higher up on the backboard to pin the shot. It was outright nasty. And I tweeted this during the game, but one of the little bread and butter plays that Steve Clifford always ran for Nick Vucevic in Orlando was these little quick, he'd have whomever was playing power forward, that person would set like in early offense in the middle of the court with two shooters in the corner, would set sort of like an early quick down screen around the free throw line elbow area. And Vucevic would just catch and turn and either shoot immediately or kind of like isolate in the high post. They ran that 3 times for PJ Washington tonight, including 2 times in the first quarter. He scored both times off, one on a catch and shoot, one on a little like face up isolation. They ran it for him the second half. I think he tried to drive it that time and it was unsuccessful. But so you could see the ways they used PJ differently tonight, like early offense as a ball handler, pushing in transition, in some of this sort of like mid post face up isolation stuff. Again, stuff that they were running for Nick Vucevic, when he was, a 20-point per game scorer for Steve Clifford in Orlando. So nice to see. I actually thought that was like one of the highlights tonight, was just how they utilized both Hayward, again, in sort of the same traditional ways. A lot of chin pick and roll with Hayward, especially in the third quarter, but also some of the new ways they got PJ Washington involved.
Yeah, I was just kind of completely taken aback by the fact that he had a 3-point shot off the dribble. I think that was his first bucket of the game, if I'm not mistaken. And then he had like a step back mid-range shot as well.
Yeah.
Every deep playoff run starts with building an amazing team. Doing the same for your business doesn't take a room full of scouts. You just need Indeed. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Something I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy, because with virtual interviews, Indeed saves you time. You can message, schedule, and interview top talent all in one place. Indeed knows that when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why when you sponsor a job, you only pay for quality applications from resumes in our database matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/Blue Wire to start hiring today. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Football is back, and BetMGM is inviting new customers to join the huddle and enjoy the action like never before. Sign up today using bonus code CAPITAL, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. You'll also have instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, player props, and boosted odds specials. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to betmgm.com and enter bonus code CAPITAL and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. The BetMGM app is the perfect way to experience the excitement of wagering on live sports now in more markets than ever. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Washington, D.C. only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And I don't think we can talk about this game without mentioning Kelly Oubre. I think there's 2 things that stood out to me, and Evan, we'll get to your speaker request here in a second. The biggest thing offensively for Oubre was, and he even mentioned this at halftime, that he wasn't settling for just the deep shots, and he attacked the rim. That was just so jarring to me, because you're just so used to that guy, just standing out in the perimeter, taking shots, and not being aggressive on that end of the court. And then the biggest play of the night to me offensively was just the fact that he played off the dribble, used that aggressiveness, get to the rim, put some pressure on the rim, and he had this nice wraparound pass to Richards after drawing a couple of Spurs in the air. He did have a pretty good game defensively, especially in the first half. I think there was one possession in the second half where he just got blown by off the dribble, but I just thought he was a little bit more active on that end with his hands and with his feet. And one of the more memorable plays from him in that first half was when he was mismatched against Pirtle in the post, and he just stripped him and went coast to coast and drew the N1. I think he missed the free throw shot, but regardless, I thought he was a little bit more active tonight, and I think his plus minus really stood out because when he did go to the bench in that third quarter, that's when San Antonio made their run. Do you guys have any thoughts on Oubre before I shift it over to Evan here?
Well, it's a good game for him to get to the basket and show some things that we have not grown accustomed to from him. But he literally can't go right. So when he plays against vets that understand that maybe a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more vividly, then it's going to be harder. So I'm not putting too much stock in. I don't want to water down the Oubre experience tonight, but not putting a whole lot of stock into this performance from Oubre.
Yeah, San Antonio couldn't keep the ball in front. He took advantage of that. I have a few more gripes with the defense, but like Spencer said, let's enjoy it while we have it, because this will probably be one of the better nights of the next few months.
Right, that up and down nature. So Evan, go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
What's up, guys? Always fun enjoying you guys after Hornets win. I've detoxed after the play-in last year. I stayed away for the summer. I needed to, cleanse myself from some Hornets, but glad to be back. But yeah, I mean, not a ton to add tonight, just because, like you guys have been saying, like it's hard to really gauge anything when you're going against the Spurs. Not really a competitive team. There were some things like you guys pointed out. PJ's involvement in the offense. I missed the beginning. I wasn't sure if you guys spoke about just the offense seemed to be at a much quicker pace than I had expected it to be, especially with Steve Clifford and without LaMelo. That was refreshing to see. I'm expecting that to, be the same, if not more, with LaMelo, which is nice to see. And then, yeah, in terms of Kelly Oubre, you guys know I'm the biggest Kelly Oubre hater there is. Not a fan of that man, but I gotta give him credit. I'll give him credit. He didn't settle for threes. I think he only took 11 shots, 3 threes. Just played solid defense. But nice win, and let's see what happens in New Orleans on Friday night.
Yeah, we appreciate your comments and echo your thoughts as well. And we'll go to one more speaker request here for Cam.
Hey, guys. So it's been mentioned a couple of times that the Spurs are not an NBA team right now, but Pop is incredible. And watching this game, I was terrified that Cliff is just going to coach the hell out of this team to the worst level of competence that could possibly be, which is like the 11th spot. And I don't know if you guys are worried about that too. When I was watching the game, it surprised me that Mark only got 4 minutes. I don't really understand that. I know that, Mason is the veteran and Cliff has decided that Richards is one of his guys, and it looks like he definitely deserves to be. But it seems to me like it's kind of hard. It's disheartening that they don't see this as like a season that, or at least right now, where you would want to get him minutes in games where we're being the ones who are blowing the other teams out. It kind of concerns me that he only got 4. It just seems to me that you could get a little bit better development if you're messing up and you're winning, rather than it seeming like you're contributing to like a snowball if we're getting blown out by like a better team. I don't know. I was a little frustrated that he only got 4 minutes, and then Book Night getting 14 and getting to go over. I don't know what's up with that guy. That was just a rough kind of look. I thought I'd kind of wonder what you guys think about the Mark's only 4 minutes, and PJ is going to have to earn some of that money on Friday night, because the big fella in New Orleans looked real good tonight. That doesn't look fun. I'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate it.
I just want to speak to the Book Night point real quick. I do wonder if he would have played as much had Cody Martin not got injured. Like, do you think he was part of the rotation going into the game?
That was my initial thought. I understand what's happened with Book Night the last 60 hours or whatever, but my assumption would be that was just kind of the plan going into the season. And he got a lot of minutes in preseason, so it's not like that shocking. Speaking of detoxing, I guess he was able to detox and get ready for this game tonight. He wasn't good again. Thought he had some okay moments, but yeah, just to the point that our latest speaker just made, There are enough, like Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. There's enough veterans on this team to where, it's just like way different than the team we just played tonight. Like at some point in the season, certainly in game one, they're going to pretend to be serious, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm as scared as anyone that we're going to find ourselves in this 10th, 11th seed kind of scenario again. But it's one game. It very well may have been a game against the worst team in the NBA tonight. So I just wouldn't read too much into how much young players played tonight versus how much other players played. Let's wait and see, because this team could be 1-6 and this time next week, right? So like I wouldn't read too much into it just yet.
It's something to monitor. I definitely especially once the fourth quarter started, the internal clock in my mind started thinking, okay, well, when do we see Mark Williams? When do you see the guy that you just took in the first round of the draft? Meanwhile, Jalen Duren had a huge game for the Pistons tonight. Just make a note of that mentally.
Yeah, can you believe the Knicks traded that guy?
Yeah. What kind of idiot fail franchise would trade a guy like that with a lot, luck when they luck up into him with a 13th pick? What kind of moronic franchise would do something like that? Man, would hate to follow that team. But yeah, I would say it's not something to freak out about yet with Williams, though I think it is worth keeping an eye on. Like it did, I will also say halfway through the fourth quarter when the game was well in hand and Pop had already pulled San Antonio's starters, that Clifford came back with Mason Plumlee at like the 6 or 7 minute mark was a little surprising. It was like, let's go with the rookie. Come on, let's put him in there.
It's like part ceremonial, but also part like we're winning the game. Vibes are good.
Yeah.
Like Clifford's not the kind of coach that's going to be like, all right, Rook, go sprint to the scores table.
Yeah.
That's just, that's not his mo. And so like that doesn't surprise me. And also like we should mention too, like Nick Richards, like sudden emergence complicates this whole conversation about Mark Williams. Like Nick Richards was awesome again tonight.
100%. I do think and we should talk about Richards because just real quickly on Richards, like I undersold him. I didn't think he was trash. I didn't like bag on him and say he wasn't an NBA player, but I kind of thought he was just like center depth as best. Like, your sixth big guy on a roster, your third center or whatever. And like, he's playing well and playing hard. And just, he's since preseason and tonight, a monster on the offensive glass. He had 8 of Charlotte's 14 offensive rebounds. But yeah, Spencer's right. That does complicate the math a little bit. I do think there is one scenario when the season inevitably goes sideways for Charlotte. And if Richie's prediction of Plumlee being the first guy moved comes to fruition, all of a sudden you open up 18, 20 minutes a game for Williams. And the hope would be that before then, it doesn't take that for Williams to get into the rotation, that he starts sort of like finding ways to be a part of a deeper rotation. And then when the more minutes become available, he steps right into it.
Right now in the pecking order, it's definitely Plumlee. It's definitely Richards. I thought Richards' impact was awesome tonight. You mentioned the offensive rebounds, just going after loose balls. He just seemed to be in the right position at the right time. He even hit a baseline mid-range shot, which was surprising to see. He came in, did his job, played his role, and it does complicate things. Did we see PJ at all at the 5 tonight? I don't think we did.
No PJ at 5. There was one possession in the third or fourth quarter, though, where they did, like, for the first time, maybe they did it once in the preseason, where they went to like one of those like 5-out looks that they ran all the time with James Borrego, delay or open, whatever you want to call it, where they threw it to PJ in the middle and had him run Chicago action with someone to his right, and he turned it over. He set a screen and got called for an offensive foul, setting the screen, but they spaced Richards to the left corner. And so again, not playing PJ at 5, but like I was encouraged to at least like that action was
around. Yeah.
That action was cash for them the last couple of seasons. And I do think it's got to be a bigger part of the mix, especially as you're like looking for alternative playmaking sources with with LaMelo in or out of the lineup.
A few other superlatives I had, Richie, that we can run down real quick. I think we should mention, well, let's just start real quick. There's not a lot to read into it, but Cody Martin, I think the team called it a quad injury. So something that we'll all be monitoring. Certainly means more James Bouknight minutes, for better or for worse. If that is an injury that's going to keep him out multiple games. Other than that, just like on the court, Dennis Smith Jr., I mean, look, he made a few shots tonight, which I think is always going to be icing on the cake for Dennis Smith Jr. Like, he's a good athlete. He can put pressure on the rim with his quickness and his first step. But I thought his defense was really impressive. 2 steals, 2 blocks, and they were not empty calorie plays. Like, they were hardworking, pressure the ball. Like, I just get this sense that Steve Clifford likes him. Because of what he can bring off the bench, just as like a defensive spark plug, if he's going to buy in to that. I'm really impressed the way he moves his feet side to side. He will lose the ball. He doesn't flip his hips and turn defenders and kind of stay connected with the ball, so to speak. But moving side to side, he's really got a lot of potential. It's not really something I had like mentally noted about him as a player from his days in Dallas. 2 more maybe real quickly. Jalen McDaniels, not kind of a quiet night, but I thought he had some good defensive moments. Just like he's so like that pterodactyl, just like raptor in the gaps, in the driving lanes, getting his hand in there, knocking balls around. Like, we saw the Clifford system kind of play to his strengths tonight, I thought, on a few moments. So I was happy to see that. And then, like, we got to mention Terry Rozier. Like, he was just playing Rozier ball tonight, man. He was running circles around San Antonio. He looked like he was at Rucker Park, just like cooking it up. So that was kind of fun to see too. So those are just a few things I had noted. I know we're not going to go long, but I wanted to mention them.
Just to add to that, I thought I read somewhere prior to the game that Rozier was going to get all his minutes at the point guard position. And again, this Cody Martin injury could have thrown everything for a loop here, but he did play with DSJ. And I like that combination with DSJ at the point and Rozier at the shooting guard way more than I do, just Rozier running the point. It just doesn't feel right seeing him playing so many minutes at the point guard position, because he does have a tendency to kind of look for his own shot, especially when things start to break down where, sometimes it can end in an okay possession, but a lot of times it just is not ending with something positive. But to your point, Spencer, DSJ looked good tonight. Getting to the rim is what he has been known for over the course of his career. His shot has not ever really developed. And, he had some tough shots where he had a defender in his face. It's just not something that you probably should expect moving forward. But I would love to see him see more consistent minutes as the backup point guard, even when LaMelo gets back. I don't want it to be the case where LaMelo gets back and then Rozier is now in charge of that second unit. That would just be my hope after watching the preseason games and after watching this game. Continue with DSJ, see what you got out of him, and then, like you said, he's active on defenses too.
And real quick before Brian jumps in, just a quick note on Rozier and his the backup point guard or primary point guard while LaMelo is hurt. Like, I do want to give him credit. He is not he tends to over dribble at times, but I think when he's tasked with bringing the ball up, he knows how his bread is butter when you watch him play. He'll get off it quick and he immediately goes into movement. And he stays in movement. That's what impressed me really tonight. I didn't even notice that as much in preseason, but he stayed in constant movement off the ball all night, which, okay, it's a bad defensive. It's a young San Antonio team. It's going to look better aesthetically tonight, but I did note that. And as long as he can play with Hayward a lot, he's not really going to have to play quote-unquote point guard, right?
That's the key. That's the key,
yeah.
Because so many of those possessions you'll see when he gets off the ball, Hayward comes off on the left side of the floor. He comes off of a pin down. Hayward throws, or Rozier throws it to him. Then he comes off a back pick from Richards or Plumlee. And then after Richards or Plumlee sets that off-ball back screen for Rozier, they come up, they lift, and they set the ball screen for Hayward. That's the chin pick and roll.
Exactly.
Charlotte ran that a ton with James Borrego for Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward ran it a lot under Brad Stevens with the Celtics, by the way. And Steve Clifford's doing the same thing here. And that way you move the defense around a little bit. You get Hayward into pick and roll, go into his right hand. They've got some counters they can run out of that. But like Spencer said, it gets Charlotte into their set, and then it gets Rozier moving around off the ball, which is where he's at his best. Also, Spencer, you touching on maybe Clifford seeing something in Dennis Smith Jr. Perhaps we are seeing the birth of DSJ is the new MCW, perhaps. Well, it's almost 2023, and there is a backup guard with known by three initials that is providing frisky point of attack defense and screen navigation. Yeah, I think with DSJ, like, for him on both sides of the floor, it's all about pressure. Like when he's in playing defense, it's ball pressure. At the point of attack, it's the screen navigation. And I should say, the further and further that dude gets away from his one season of having to learn defense under Mark Gottfried at NC State, the better it is for his development. Because that probably set him back by a year or so. And he was already coming off an knee injury when he got to college. So that probably didn't help the defensive development there. And then offensively, the pressure is Smith is a paint touch. He's rim pressure. And on an offense that is starved for that. And Richie, you and I potted about this, the day after they signed DSJ. Kind of an interesting, not like a second draft flyer, but like a third or a fourth draft, And he's in a decent situation because there's a potential role for him even when LaMelo comes back, because he provides something that the team is just starved for. They've got some guys that can be primary or secondary ball handlers. Hayward, Rozier, Martin. Obviously, LaMelo is going to be this team's ultimate playmaking hub, but like he is the guy that can get the ball to the front of the rim. And I thought in preseason when he was available to play, he showed a willingness to do that. That gets you some good looks, like Rozier coming off movement, maybe moving the matchups around, DSJ going downhill with an empty side, Richards going to the hoop, which is, a dive opportunity or a lay down pass opportunity or perhaps a putback opportunity. So that stuff is good. That's good process. And it's not having to split the atom to do it. Like, it's simple, quick hitting stuff that you can do off a make or a miss for that matter. And then the last thing that I'll say, Jalen McDaniels, I think you guys would agree with me on this. Maybe not. Maybe there's not quite enough offense, but McDaniels just feels like a guy, and there's plenty of players on this roster you can't say this about. You could just drop him in a playoff game tomorrow night, and I think he could hold his own for 15 minutes. I just think because he's got the team defense down pat, and the versatility and the switching, I just think he gives you just enough offensively that I think he's playable in a postseason scenario. So that's all I got on tonight.
Yeah, very steady player. He doesn't necessarily have all these like high highs or low lows.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view McDaniels on a game-to-game basis. It's funny you brought up MCW, but I remember, when we first brought you on, Brian, you constantly confused MCW with MKG.
Yeah, yes, nonstop. No, I mean, it's like you guys laugh, and Richie, you bring it up. I almost wrote it down before I launched into that point because I was like, having ghosts from 2018 were about to burble up and snipe me here. The ghosts from my podcast failures of the past were ready to be unleashed. Steve Clifford's back, so why not bring me confusing MKG and MCW again?
Yeah, as long as DSJ doesn't miss layups like MCW tended to do.
Oh my God, he was so bad.
I feel like that was a thing.
Man.
I can remember one tonight, and it was a beautiful one. It was a left-handed one that went in. So we're 1 for 1. Only other thing, Richie, on a serious note, the tempo the Hornets made, I pulled it up on Cleaning the Glass just because I was curious, but really, really high percentage of running in transition off of steals and off of live rebounds, like both far above 70th percentile in the league if you averaged it all out. So, I mean, we've talked about this, like this team, because of their guards, their wings, like they have a lot of good this is a good rebounding team. Like now if you mix Nick Richards in, LaMelo, Rozier, like this is going to be a really good rebounding team, I think. Yeah, really is probably strong, but they're going to be an above average rebounding team, especially considering Steve Clifford is their coach. So they kind of are built to run in a lot of different ways. LaMelo comes back. It's just something I'm monitoring.
Yeah.
Like that could be a component that we underestimated about this roster, just considering Steve Clifford was the coach. But I'm a little bit more bullish even after one game than maybe I would have been when we talked last week.
I'm also willing to bet this ends up being one of their most deficient offensive games all season too, right? I mean, they scored 129 points on 94 shots, 20 of 23 from the line, 13 of 29 from deep. They shot over 51% from the floor. And yeah, the second chance points were part of that, obviously.
Yeah, Brian does not think this is going to be maintained through an 82-game season.
I got a feeling, you guys.
Well, if we can play the Spurs 82 times, it'd be probably really good. But
yes, it's not how basketball works, unfortunately.
We should go ahead and wrap it up here. We wanted to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us live. We wanted to thank Cam and Evan for getting involved as speakers. If you couldn't make it for the full post-game discussion, there will be a podcast version as well that drops. Also, I would say on Friday or Saturday, I will release the interview that I had with Brevin Knight, the former Charlotte Bobcats point guard. Our BuzzBeat Plus subscribers have had their chance to listen to that probably since Tuesday, I believe it was released.
Tuesday.
One of the perks of signing up for BuzzBeat Plus. So for Spencer, for Brian, I'm Richie. We will talk to you guys later. Take care.